Welcome back, everyone, to your second stimulus check and second stimulus package update and news report for today. Today is Sunday, January 3rd. I do hope your new year has been off to a good start. Hope it's off on the right foot. No matter what your circumstance is, keep on pushing, keep on fighting, never ever give up. In this video, we have some news to discuss and divulge, some circulating headlines, some developing discussions. So in this video, I want to cover it all for you. So let's start with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her re-election as House Speaker. Today, the Congress reconvened after a short break, and they formed the 117th session of Congress. Remember, we are no longer in the lame duck session. We are now in the new session of Congress. So House Democrats rallied today to elect Nancy Pelosi as the House Speaker of the 117th Congress. And she overcame opposition from a handful of restive moderates urging new leadership to grant Pelosi her fourth term at the top of the chamber. The 216 to 209 vote was more dramatic than anyone would have guessed just 2 months ago, when Democrats went into the elections predicting big gains and pad their House majority in 2021. Instead, they lost at least 13 seats, trimming their numbers to a mere 222 seats, the smallest House majority in decades, and complicating Pelosi's effort to keep the Speaker's gavel for another 2-year term. She has vowed it will be her last term, so we will not see Nancy Pelosi again after this term is over. For all of you Pelosi haters, you only have to see her for a couple more years. A total of 5 Democrats declined to support Pelosi on the chamber floor, urging a changing of the guard after 18 years under Pelosi's reign, a sharp decline from the 15 defections she encountered in 2019. In other news, a Trump phone conversation was released today by the Washington Post, and experts are saying that this phone call potentially could have shown Trump committed multiple crimes. This phone call was with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger the day before, so it was a call from yesterday, was released today by the Washington Post. And there was widespread speculation that the president had committed one or more crimes in his effort to overturn the results of the election in Georgia, including extortion and, ironically, election fraud. This was a 1-hour phone call, but there were several highlights in this call that underscored Trump's absolute relentless ability to do anything and everything in his power as president to overturn the results of just one state, Georgia. The president on audio is heard pressuring Raffensperger to, quote, find 11,780 votes that would put him in the lead over President-elect Joe Biden in Georgia, which has already certified its results. And on the other line, the Secretary of State swore to Trump that this was a fair election, all of the votes were accounted for, and there was no fraud. Trump continued to actually threaten Raffensperger with the possibility of criminal charges unless he comes up with the votes to overturn the election results. He had said, quote, that's a criminal offense, and you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. Trump offered no direct evidence of widespread election fraud in Georgia. We have no evidence of election fraud in the state of Georgia. And instead of offering secondhand conspiracy theories about manipulated voting machines, ballots being scanned multiple times, and votes simply being thrown out, all of which were investigated by the Georgia law enforcement and the FBI, found to be untrue, Trump went beyond trying to prove that he won the state by, quote, hundreds of thousands of votes, pressuring Raffensperger to simply announce a new vote total showing him beating Biden. He went on to say, there's nothing wrong with saying that that you've recalculated, meaning just basically say that we have found that the president won. Just with no evidence, just say Trump won the state. Joined on the call by his general counsel, Ryan Germany, Raffensperger calmly and methodically disputed Trump's election theories, saying, well, Mr. President, the challenge you have is that the data you have is wrong. Trump's actions could actually constitute election fraud, and if he's looking for it, he wouldn't have to look too far to find it, because Section 52 of the U.S. Code concerns voting and elections and provides for a sentence of up to 5 years in prison for, quote, a person, including an election official, who in any election for federal office, and then there's several things under this code, under this law in the U.S. One of them is knowingly and willfully intimidates, threatens, or coerces, or attempts to intimidate, threaten, or coerce any person for registering to vote or voting or attempting to register or vote, urging or aiding any person to register to vote, or to attempt to register to vote, or exercising any right under this chapter, or knowingly and willfully deprives, defrauds, or attempts to deprive or defraud the resident of a state of a fair and impartially conducted election process, and it goes on and on and on. And under this code, Trump could actually be convicted of this. Now, in regards to stimulus, Stephen Moore, who is an economic advisor to President Donald Trump, is arguing against a, quote, massive spending bill, according to The Hill. In an interview with businessman John Catsimatidis on his WABC 770 AM radio show, Moore had said that the economy's recovery is not dependent on the pandemic legislative relief package, and it will recover, quote, without all this government spending. He went on to say, I'm not so sure we need this massive stimulus bill. We just need to get the vaccine out there, and we need to get the businesses open in New York City and Los Angeles and Chicago and San Francisco. Now, this isn't the first time that economic advisor Moore has broken with Trump on stimulus. In fact, earlier this week, Moore had said that the government, with the $2,000 push, is, quote, spending money like it's M&Ms. He said, let me first go on record and say it's absurd, the $2,000 checks. It's not a way to stimulate the economy. We are passing these costs on to our children and grandchildren. Now, with just a few weeks left to go in Trump's office, could we expect another stimulus check, a third stimulus check, under a Biden administration? Well, at a news conference just a few days before Christmas, Biden spoke to reporters on this issue. He was asked about his plans for a new rescue package, and a reporter asked if it would include more direct payments and what amount. He had responded, quote, look, that's a negotiating issue, but it will. Yes, it will. Now, whether Biden can secure a third stimulus check in the new stimulus package, or a new stimulus package at all for that matter, will depend largely on the Georgia runoff races, which are happening on Tuesday in just a couple days from now. Tuesday night, January 5th, that will determine the fate of the Senate and whether or not it becomes Democratic majority or maintains its Republican majority. Republicans in the current Senate have killed the effort to boost $600 payments to $2,000. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said that the plan would have sent, quote, thousands of dollars to people who don't need the help, in reference to the fact that a family of four could end up with $8,000 and their income could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that all the money would go to the top 1%. But the facts are, the statistics indicate that millions of Americans are still in financial pain. In fact, the U.S. has 10 million fewer jobs and an estimated 7.8 million more people in poverty compared to early in 2020, and a census survey released in mid-December found that more than 85 million Americans are having trouble paying rent and covering other regular expenses. But as far as the amount, could we actually anticipate a $2,000 stimulus check? Could we anticipate a $2,000 relief payment sent out to Americans after Congress has now passed 2 stimulus checks and they might not feel so motivated to pass new ones? Well, I think Trump's delay in signing the stimulus bill greatly helped in this scenario. Had he not refused to sign it and just put pen to paper the day he received it in his hands, I think you wouldn't have seen any of these calls or pushes for $2,000 stimulus checks from either side. So I think Trump was very advantageous and beneficial in stimulus negotiations down the road, even when he is no longer president. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments. Do you think it was more beneficial for Trump not to sign the bill, or do you think we would have still seen $2,000 stimulus check calls regardless of whether or not Trump refused to sign it? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. More updates and developments are to come, especially as those Georgia races are upon us. We'll be watching oh so very carefully, and I'll be updating you guys on the results of that election. Hopefully we'll see them that night. As we know, election could swing either way. It can go on days and weeks, as we're fully aware. So hopefully we will receive those results that same night, or maybe the morning after, but I'll be watching so carefully. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button. And if you want to see more videos from my channel, as always, hit that big red button, the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell as well. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.